23 fun bits of trivia guaranteed to make your day. This fun trivia is sure to remind you what a fascinating place the world can be. In an effort to feel childlike and renew your sense of awe, we've rounded up 23 bits of fun trivia that will make your day and restore that childlike sense of wonder. Number 1. Peanuts can be used to make dynamite. Obviously, peanuts are a tasty snack, as long as you're not allergic to them, that is. But did you know they can also be used to make dynamite? When extracted, peanut oil can be turned into glycerol, which can then make nitroglycerin, an unstable explosive substance used in dynamite. In a safer state, glycerol is also used for soaps, creams, and various food products. Number 2. People write love letters to trees in Australia via email. The city of Melbourne, Australia, wants to take care of its trees, so much so that in 2013, they assigned each one an email address so that the public could report any problems, like dangerous branches, that they noticed. However, instead of sending messages about issues, people began writing love letters to the trees. Number 3. On Mars, sunsets are blue. The sunsets we know are typically mellow yellow or fiery pink. But if we lived on Mars, we'd witness blue sunsets, as seen in a series of images snapped by NASA's Curiosity rover in 2015. As Mark Lemon, a scientist who worked on the Curiosity team, explained to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the colors come from the fact that the very fine dust is the right size so that blue light penetrates the atmosphere slightly more efficiently. Number 4. The world record for the tallest stack of donuts totaled more than 3,000. Measuring almost 5 feet tall, the pyramid-shaped tower was made up of 3,100 donuts. According to Guinness World Records, the structure was designed on a number of different software products to ensure its structural integrity. Number 5. The majority of polar bears live in Canada, not in the Arctic. There are an estimated 22,000 to 31,000 polar bears around the world, according to the World Wildlife Fund. And while you can find the beasts in a range of regions in the Arctic Circle, including Greenland, Norway, Russia, and Alaska, the majority of them, around 60 to 80%, call Canada home. Number 6. The Eiffel Tower was inaugurated the same year Nintendo was founded. You might assume that Paris's Eiffel Tower is much older than Nintendo, a company famous for manufacturing popular video game systems. But in reality, the iconic Parisian landmark was inaugurated the very same year that Nintendo was founded, 1889. While the tower was being formally introduced to the public at the World's Fair, a playing card company that would eventually become Nintendo was being launched in Kyoto by Fusajiro Yamauchi. Number 7. The world's largest Barbie collection includes more than 15,000 dolls. In 1996, Bettina Dorfman received her first Barbie, a Midge doll, in fact. By 1993, she was collecting them seriously. And in the 26 years since, she's managed to get her hands on more than 15,000 different versions of the iconic doll, including a rare original Barbie from 1959. In addition to collecting them, Dorfman also runs a hospital for broken Barbies where she fixes or replaces broken limbs and untangles matted hair. Number 8. The first breakfast cereal had to be soaked overnight before it could be eaten. It's probably safe to assume that when you reach for your favorite cereal in the morning, you can simply pour some in a bowl and start eating it. But in order to consume the first manufactured breakfast cereal, which was created in 1863, you had to soak it in milk overnight just to make it edible. The cereal was made of graham flour that had been baked into brittle cakes, then crumbled up and baked again. Not surprisingly, it was not an immediate success, according to the New York Times Magazine. Number 9. More than 800 languages are spoken in Papua New Guinea. It's hard to imagine anyone being able to speak, or even understand, all of the 850+ indigenous languages that are spoken in Papua New Guinea. And in reality, most people don't. Many of the languages in the country, such as Nahali, are only spoken and understood by a few thousand people in the world. Still, the sheer number of languages that exist in Papua New Guinea makes it one of the most linguistically diverse countries in the world. Number 10. Your dog knows when someone isn't trustworthy. You may be able to tell when your furry BFF is thrilled to see you, but your dog probably knows even more about you and other people than you do about them. Not only do dogs have innate instincts to protect their humans, but a 2015 study published in the journal Animal Cognition suggests that pups can even tell if a person is untrustworthy based on their behavior. Number 11. Only 2 national flags have the color purple on them. Those two countries are Dominica, which uses purple in its flag's central image of a Cicero parrot, and Nicaragua, which includes a purple stripe in a rainbow that's featured on the national coat of arms at the center of the flag. Number 12 Benjamin Franklin was inducted into the International Swimming Hall of Fame. Benjamin Franklin wasn't only a skilled writer, politician, and scientist, he was also an avid swimmer. Franklin began swimming as a child in Boston, which led to one of his first inventions, oval pallets worn on the hands so he could swim faster. His enthusiasm for the sport continued throughout his life and was so well documented that he was eventually given an honorary induction into the International Swimming Hall of Fame. Number 13 There's a Russian village where every resident is a tightrope walker. Traversing a high wire may seem like a relatively uncommon ability. However, there's one Russian community where it's a perfectly normal thing to be able to do. In Savkra, a small, secluded village in the Southern Republic of Dagestan, everyone who's physically able can walk on a tightrope in a tradition that's existed for more than 100 years. It's even taught in school to the village children. Even though only 400 people still live in the region, at least 17 tightrope walkers from the area have found fame in circuses due to their impressive aerial abilities. Number 14 Dr. Seuss wrote Green Eggs and Ham as part of a bet. The Cat in the Hat was published in 1957 and used a mere 236 words to tell the quirky feline's fantastical story. However, the book's author, Dr. Seuss, topped that with even fewer words when his publisher, Bennett Cerf, bet him that he couldn't write a book using 50 words or less. Green Eggs and Ham hit bookstores 3 years later and uses exactly 50 words. Number 15 Tic Tac mints are named after the sound their container makes. In 1970, Ferrero was looking to replace refreshing mints as the name of its now iconic mini mouth fresheners. Instead of going with a similarly straightforward approach, the brand says the name we all know now was inspired by the tic and the tac sounds heard when you open and close the little plastic container the mints come in. Number 16 The word mussel comes from a Latin term meaning little mouse. Bend your arm at the elbow and flex. What do you see when you look at your bicep? The ancient Romans apparently saw the resemblance of a tiny rodent, which is why it's called a mussel, a word derived from the Latin term musculus, meaning little mouse, according to Merriam-Webster. Number 17 Great white sharks are so scared of killer whales. The majority of humans may be afraid of great white sharks, but that doesn't mean that the sharp-toothed ocean predators don't have fears of their own, one of them being another kind of big swimmer, orcas, also known as killer whales. In fact, a 2019 study published in the journal Nature suggests they're so terrified of the ferocious whales that they'll avoid an area for up to a year if they encounter one, even if it's just passing by. As the study's lead author Salvador Jorgensen explained, when confronted by orcas, white sharks will immediately vacate their preferred hunting ground and will not return for up to a year, even though the orcas are only passing through. Number 18 There's a word for tapping someone on the opposite shoulder from behind to fool them. If you've ever tapped someone on the opposite shoulder in order to attempt to trick them, then you've done what people living in Indonesia would call mencolok. But no matter what you call this, it will still probably make the person on the receiving end of the gesture groan in response. Number 19 Singapore plans to build floating suburbs. With a fast-growing population of nearly 6 million people, all of whom must cram on a mere 719 square kilometers, or about 447 square miles, of land, Singapore needs more space than ever. And, according to a report in Hakai magazine, they're working on plans to create that space on 40 floating rafts. Each individual section would be about the size of a baseball diamond, weigh more than 7.5 metric tons, and be tethered to the seabed about 18 meters below. Number 20 An 11-year-old is responsible for naming Pluto. In 1930, the Ross or Royal Astronomical Society was struggling to come up with a name for a newly discovered planet. They considered Minerva, Zeus, Atlas, and Persephone, but it was 11-year-old Venetia Burney Fair who suggested Pluto, inspired by the god of the underworld. When the idea eventually reached Ross with the help of the girl's connected family, her librarian grandfather knew many astronomers, they loved it and ultimately decided to use the suggestion. Number 21 The largest volcano in the solar system is 3 times taller than Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain on Earth, reaching 5.5 miles into the sky. However, you'd need to stack 3 Everests on top of each other in order to create something as massive as Mars Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system. The enormous volcano is 16 miles tall and stretches 374 miles wide, approximately the same size as the state of Arizona, according to NASA. Number 22. The patient in the game Operation has a name. Now you'll be able to tell everyone that the incision-filled patient you are about to perform surgery on goes by the name Cavity Sam. Number 23. There's an asteroid that's worth $95.8 trillion. Way up in space, there's an asteroid by the name of 241 Germania that's 100 miles wide and holds a heck of a lot of minerals. On Earth, those minerals, including hydrocarbons such as oil, would be worth around $95.8 trillion. Well, how did you do? Were we able to teach you a few new things, or did you already know all these fun facts? Please share with your friends and family to test their knowledge. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel so that you can be notified when we release new videos.